Oh boy, this is gonna ruffle some feathers. But before we dive into all of the commentary that can be, I say can be, not is, but it can be seen as somewhat of a shot. Before we say that, I'll say that sometimes things in European languages, when you translate them verbatim into English, sometimes they don't really portray the same message as they had in the original language. Of course, I get that that's what translations are for, to bridge the gap between various words and languages, to have a common understanding between both parties, but still, this is a thing that I think we can debate whether or not it is somewhat of a shot. Because today we're talking about Montreal Canadiens' first overall pick, Juraj Slafkovsky. We've made quite a few videos relating to Slav over the past few days, from 2022 redraft videos to conversations about Canadiens' contracts, how Slav is signed on till the end of 2033, making $7.6 million a year. Now, I don't think in his young NHL career, Slafkovsky has had a $7.6 million caliber season just yet. He had 51 points the most previous season, and 50 points the year before that. But of course, he is only 21 years old. He is going to continue getting better. I'm not saying he's the next Mikko Rantanen, but if he does become a 70, 80-point guy consistently, who displays the passing and playmaking abilities that he has to a greater capacity, if he uses his frame, his size, and upgrades his physicality, this guy can be a premier power playmaker, sniper, on the wing, on the top line, in Montreal for the long term. First overall pick? Yes. First overall caliber player? We shall see. But the thing is, with Juraj Slafkovsky and all of his Slovak greatness that came upon his first overall selection in 2022, we have ourselves some responses to the way that he has performed so far in the National Hockey League, and it comes to us via the form of a fellow European winger, David Pastrnak of the Boston Bruins. Now, this is so interesting to me because right away, you can see the flags: Slovak for Slafkovsky, Czech for Pastrnak. These guys are not technically from the same country. They're from various nations here. European, yes, but still, Pasta is Czech, Slafkovsky is Slovak. So, the fact that we're getting some David Pastrnak commentary on Juraj Slafkovsky, of all people, is so interesting to me. But the source that we will be referring to is sportovi.cas.sk. This is a Slovak website, and it cites some commentary from David Pastrnak and how he has no reservations about Juraj Slafkovsky. He's a great player, but he lacks ... This article, which was initially in Slovak, will be linked in the description if you want to go out there and read it yourself. But I gotta say, we always have to bring this up. Commentary in various languages translated into English might not be the most cohesive and properly communicated ideas. There are some things in translation that can be lost here. But the article is in Slovak, and it talks about David Pastrnak, who is the star of the Golf Hockey Challenge, the 2025 golf tournament in Záhorí. In an interview with Our Daily, he revealed that in his childhood, his mother had to have 3 robots so that he could play hockey. He has 40 suits in his wardrobe, and his role models in the past were also Slovak hockey players: Zygmunt Palffy, Marian Hossa, and Marian Gaborik. Ah, okay, so that's why Pasternak's going out there and commentating on Slafkovsky. He's in a Slovak golf tournament. Really, really interesting. The article asks David, how long has it been since you visited Slovakia? It's been a long time. The last time I was in Mikalvos as a young boy, where my father trained. I'm glad to be back in Slovakia. Interesting question to follow up here. Do you perceive a rivalry between Czech and Slovak hockey? I'm a younger generation, and I've always wished the Slovaks do well, and I still do. I have never played against a Slovak team on the senior stage, so I don't know what it would be like when it happens. In the past, we were one common country, and I still have my fingers crossed for you. I come from Havirov, so I can relate to you. Now, okay, this is all nice to see. Pastrnak going out there and talking about the connection between Slovakia and the Czech Republic, but let's dive into the commentary that Pastrnak had on Slafkovsky. It's the entire reason you clicked on this video. Let's go out there and see this here. You are currently the biggest star in Czech hockey, the article says. In our country, the biggest star is Montreal Canadiens forward Juraj Slafkovsky. What do you think of him? Juraj is still a young player who is gaining experience in the NHL every year. This season, it was already clear that he gave the team more than before. He has a good physique. He is good in front of the goal with skillful hands. I believe that he will continue to progress, which will only be good for him in Slovak hockey. Pastrnak says, Juraj Slafkovsky just needs a little more humility. He should set an example for the youth. Now, what does that mean? Juraj Slafkovsky needs more humility. This is the original quote. I mean, I can't read this. I apologize. So, take it with a grain of salt that the translation into English might not sound as blunt as this sentence over here reads. Pastrnak saying that Slafkovsky needs more humility. He should set an example for the young players. Just the FYI over here, humility is defined by a modest or low view of one's own importance. Humbleness. David Pastrnak saying that Slafkovsky needs to be humble? Bruh, okay. Now, I will say, maybe it's not the worst advice in the world for Juraj Slafkovsky to be seen as a role model for Slovak kids all over the country. That maybe being seen as a role model and top-tier figure in this position comes with a little bit of responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. And for Juraj, it's to not showboat. It's to not be somebody who thinks he is super important and who is a big deal. It's to just show up, work hard, put in the necessary effort to get where he needs to go, and be humble in the process. I think that's a fairly strong message to send for somebody who is the face of his country's professional hockey body right now. It is just a little bit interesting how the quote comes across in English. Now, to be fair, I will say Canadiens fans generally seem to be okay with it. This was posted by Go Habs Go 31 on the RHabs subreddit. He needs more humility. He should set an example for the young ones. Guys, maybe things don't translate perfectly from one language to another. I don't think Pastrnak is implying anything bad. There's nothing wrong with suggesting a player should have more humility in the right context. He's a very successful NHL veteran giving advice to a young up-and-comer. Put the pitchforks down, LOL. Words are easily lost in translation. Context can be lost in these ways. Screw Boston. Although the missing ... in the title is this part. He's got a good build, plays well in front of the net, and he has great hands. Probably talking about the few outbursts he has had, but that's probably due more to his competitiveness than lack of humility. There are some other comments, though. Pastrnak can go take a hike. Lack of humility is a weird thing to call out. He has countless interviews in which he's addressed his shortcomings and needs to be better. So much so that I felt he was being a bit harsh on himself. Which I also do think is fair to bring up as well. But ultimately, though, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about David Pastrnak saying that Juraj Slafkovsky needs to be humble? Essentially, that's the way that the quote reads when you translate it, but, you know, it's translated. We can't necessarily take it at face value here. I think the message behind it is actually appropriate, but the way it came across can be seen as conflicting, maybe, for some Canadiens fans. So I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comments. How do you feel about Pastrnak calling out Juraj Slafkovsky here? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.